Let's talk transformations of trig functions. We have four main transformations: period, amplitude, horizontal shift, and vertical shift. Let's do some examples to show them. We have amplitude, which I usually put first because it's easiest, and then vertical shift, horizontal shift. Your amplitude is always the number out in front. So this one is 5. Your amplitude tells you how tall your graph is from the middle to the top or the middle to the bottom. So I can come in here and draw dotted lines at 5 and -5. So from the middle to the top and the middle to the bottom are both 5 wide. That's your amplitude. Now your vertical shift, this is if you're moving your graph up or down. Vertical shifts always happen, now let's write this down, on the outside of your parentheses. So if we look at this one, we don't have anything on the outside, so there's none. However, if you did, you would just then take your purple lines, shift them up or down however you need, and then erase the originals. Next is our period. For your period, you always take 2 pi and divide it by the number in here, which is going to be 1/2. You always use the number that you're multiplying by, not dividing by. So we think of this as 1/2 times x. And then you pull that 1/2 out of it. Now if this was tangent or cotangent, then I would use pi on top of here instead of 2 pi. If I simplify that, I get 4 pi. So that tells me that my graphs are 4 pi wide. Period tells you how wide it is. And remember, it's periodic, so I can fit multiple waves in here. We just need to make sure that every wave is 4 pi wide. Last one, horizontal shift. Horizontal shifts are always on the inside, adding or subtracting on the inside. We don't have anything in there, so none. If you did, you would just take your green period lines and shift them either direction, and then erase the originals. Now, last step. I look right here. This is a cosine graph, so I know that it's a C shape. Except I also have a negative, which tells me it's not going to face that way. It's going to flip and face down instead of up because of that negative. So what I want to do is in each of these boxes that I've created for myself, I want to make my C-shape pattern. And there's my graph. Let's try this one. Amplitude, period, vertical shift, horizontal shift. Pause the video, see if you can fill those 4 in. If you want to try and graph it too, go for it, but just worry about trying to fill them in. Okay, we have our amplitude is 1. There's no number out in front, so we assume it's that 1 that we never write. Our vertical shift, we don't have any numbers outside the parentheses, so none. Our period is 2 pi because it's sine or cosine or their counterparts, so we use 2 pi divided by that number 2, so we have a width of pi as shown right here in the graph. And then the horizontal shift is right pi halves. Remember, if it's in the inside, it's opposite the direction you think it should be. So even though it's a minus pi halves, it's actually right. So what I'm going to do now is take all my green period lines and move them right pi halves. And then I'm going to erase the originals. And it looks like I even have room for a third period. So I can do that one in there too. So I've got 3 boxes in here. So now this is a sine. There's no negative in front, so it's going to keep that shape. So in each of these boxes, I'm going to draw that S shape. And there we go. That is graphing trig functions. We only have one more part to do where we're going to do some trig identities and then solve without a calculator.